Hello everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the CEO Diaries. I am, of course, CEO of Future Females. My name is Lauren Dallas, and I am your host for this weekly session. For those of you who have been joining me for the past, I think 10 weeks we've been running this now, you will know what CEO Diaries is all about. It is really an intimate discussion between me and you, our Future Females community, taking you behind the scenes of our business and our launch. So you will know that we've been spending this year building our new Future Females platform. It has been an incredible journey so far, a challenging journey. However, you don't necessarily see the challenges through the marketing materials and sales materials that you're connecting with on our social channels, which is why it's so important for me personally and for our mission at Future Females to host this session, which is really an authentic sharing of the struggles, the challenges, the key questions that we've had to answer, the pivots that we've had to make in working towards this launch, just so that you can also benefit in your own businesses, whether you are launching your business for the first time or whether you're doing a new product or new service launch in your existing business. So that is the intention. I can see people are already tuning in across our channels. We are on Facebook now and the Facebook group and LinkedIn and YouTube. So welcome. Please do say hi if you're tuned in. Let me know where you're joining from. Today is a topic I'm particularly excited about, and that is the topic of stress and anxiety, and specifically high-functioning anxiety. This is a topic that I don't think is spoken about enough. I personally don't feel like I have spoken about it enough because it is something that I deal with daily, as do probably most of you. So I want to speak through and focusing predominantly on high functioning anxiety, because that's what I deal with. Obviously, there's many forms. I want to speak about what it is, how it impacts you, what are the benefits, because I have experienced a lot of benefits, but also what are the risks and therefore the trade-offs and some coping mechanisms. And as I speak through it, I would really love for you guys to also share from your own experiences, what's worked, what hasn't, ask your questions, and hopefully I can answer some of them for you. And of course, we will have a prize, as always, on CEO Diaries. We're going to be giving away a free spot in one of my favorite trainings we've ever created called the Level Up Launch Library. This training gives you a bundle of launch support materials, essentially a training on how to launch on Instagram, how to launch on LinkedIn, how to leverage sales and partnerships for your launches to amplify your impact, and many other things, including our own launch Trello board. So the planning is done for you. All you have to do to win, and I will announce the winner in about half an hour at the end of this session, is interact with me. Share your learnings, ask your questions. So Lusego tuning in from Joburg, welcome, and welcome to everyone else. I'm going to dive straight in, and I'd like to start with what is high functioning anxiety. So firstly, guys, I intend this to be a safe space for you to share as much as possible. So if you are comfortable, please let me know in the comments if this is something that you've struggled with. I'll tell you how I understand it, and understanding I am someone who is experiencing it, definitely not a doctor who can diagnose it. So this is just from my own personal journey. There is anxiety, and then there is also high functioning anxiety. And the way that I look at the difference is essentially thinking about fight or flight mode, which is built into all of us as humans, as animals that we are, right? When there is danger, and stress is a danger, we either have one of two responses. We flight, which is typically an anxiety-based response, meaning we freeze. We can't act, we might pull away from situations, we might recluse ourselves, and we might find it really hard to cope with even the smallest things that life ends up putting on our plate, potentially even leading into some depression. That is a very general explanation of anxiety. High functioning anxiety is almost the exact opposite, where when you feel that stressor, you go into fight mode. You feel energized. That stressor propels you forwards as opposed to having you freeze. It is very common for people with a type A personality. So I know you guys, my future females community, and I know that a lot of you fit into that bucket. So you appear to be successful, potentially even appear to be very calm on the outside. And I've had people say this to me. They're like, I don't know how you deal with everything that you do and still seem calm. And I'm like, I seem calm, but I'm like those boats. You know those boats where you have to paddle under the water and your feet are like this, but above the water, you're like, what a beautiful sunny day floating along. That's often how I feel in life and in business. And that is kind of a typical descriptor or visual of how high functioning anxiety can impact you. So please do let me know if any of that resonates with you. If you're always busy, never getting to the bottom of your list, perhaps you even enjoy people being like, I don't know how you do everything that you do. Then perhaps it is that you have that high functioning anxiety. There are definitely some benefits of it, right? One of the benefits, and from my experience, is that you do have this seemingly limitless energy. It's interesting when someone asks what motivates me. And if I'm real, which is how I intend to be always, I say to them, it's equal parts fueled by my passion for the purpose that we're pursuing at Future Females. Like I genuinely spring out of bed because I just want to create things that help women. And when I hear the stories, your wins, and when I see the successes as well, and that we're really moving the needle, that keeps me going. But I'm also fueled by a massive fear of failure, if I'm completely honest. And that also energizes me. And that is where I would say the high functioning anxiety benefit comes in. Whether it's healthy or not, I'm going to get to, but I would definitely say I'm fueled by both fear and purpose. And maybe some of you are the same. A second thing that I would say is a benefit of high functioning anxiety is an ability to manage multiple tasks simultaneously. You can work through your list. You can mentally shift from high-level strategic work down to very detail-oriented work, and you have an intense focus on both. Again, partly because that's the level of work that you want to create as a high achiever, but also partially because of that fear again. You know, if I haven't reviewed this, if I'm not on top of this and this, then what's going to happen? What's going to fall through the cracks, right? And then I think another benefit is, and something that I find myself doing, is de-risking. It's very interesting when I look at how I have built the Future Females business model with my co-founder over the years, because we've never just done one thing. And as much as, of course, if we had focused, we probably would have gotten further faster. We've been able to de-risk our business model. So, for example, we do two main things. One is building this platform and offering programs and the membership directly to our consumers. The second is doing a lot of work for big corporates and governments. And the beauty of this, even though it's meant we've literally been building two completely different business models at the same time, putting a lot of pressure on ourselves and our teams, but it's meant that we've created kind of a portfolio approach to our revenue, where if the B2C side is lagging, we can survive because we also have this B2B side of the business. B2C being selling to consumers, B2B to businesses. And vice versa. When we have a gap between major contracts, we can still sustain the business because we have those other revenue streams coming in. So I think I would say they are some of the benefits, but there's also a lot of risks, right? And I'll share a few of the ones I've experienced, but I would love your feedback. A couple of the short-term risks. One is, while you can manage a lot and de-risk your business model by having those two streams or multiple streams, you can also end up self-sabotaging by taking on too much. I always think of this visual, and it's a visual of someone digging a hole and there's oil at the bottom of the hole. And they've dug basically 10% of 10 holes instead of digging one hole all the way down to the oil. And I think that that's a really good representation of a founder like me, maybe like some of you, who intentionally are de-risking themselves and putting themselves actually at greater risk because of the lack of focus and because of taking on too much and never doing 100% of everything. Perhaps you are a really good starter, but not a particularly good finisher. So I think that that's definitely one of the risks, and sitting down and going, am I actually self-sabotaging as opposed to de-risking? This is a conversation that I have with myself. Actually, I aim to have every quarter, but at least at the end of every year. I do what I call like a cord cutting meditation and a shedding. And that is looking at everything that I do and really assessing, is this moving the needle? Is this strategically aligned? Is it going to be in a year? And what can I stop? I've learned that if you are a really good starter, you also have to be a really good stopper. And that it's okay to just stop doing something because it's no longer serving you or your community, or something else is just serving you a little bit better. If I think about December last year, I stopped selling one of my evergreen programs. I also closed down one of the event series I was running. I also ended up canceling a summit that I was going to speak at, actually two, in 2022, because I didn't want to, like, they were travel-based summits, and I didn't want to take 2 weeks out. And that's okay, because I'm always going to be a good starter. But therefore, I had to learn that it's okay to just go, that's stopped, to make capacity for something else. Please do let me know if this is resonating as I go through, or if you have any questions. I see Jos is joining from LinkedIn. Thank you, Jos. Always so nice to connect with you in this way. Another risk is definitely burnout, right? Just because you feel like you have limitless energy because you're being fueled by that purpose, but also that fear, doesn't mean on a physiological level you actually have limitless energy. So this is something that I've experienced in a couple of different ways. The first is burnout, right? Something that is a very real risk for founders, because I always say one of the biggest resources you're putting into your business is not just your time, but is your energy. Serena and I, when we reflect on why some events, let's say, in our business work and some don't, it's always because we have put our focus and energy there. And as esoteric as that sounds, we might put the same ad budget in, but as soon as we focus on something, that's when the magic starts happening. That's when the opportunities start coming to us and things start clicking. So without that energy to be able to put enough into your things, they're just not going to work. And you might potentially reach burnout. I reached burnout a few years ago. I would say it was moderate burnout. I caught it before, it got to that physical level where I was, medically unable to work. It was just a psychological burnout. And I've shared this story before, but I'll share it because it was the point for me where I was like, wow, I really do have a problem. I was running a subscription membership at the time, supporting people on their social media. And it was about $100 a month. And I had quite a good community in there, even though I hadn't sold into it for quite a few months. But I remember that I got a cancellation email one day. I opened it up and I felt relieved. I felt happy that someone had canceled. And I was like, that's a strange reaction for me as someone who loves contributing to community and also, loves growth and acquisition. And so I realized, actually, if I am hoping for people to cancel and wanting my program to do less well, then I'm not in a good energetic position for this company. So what I ended up doing was just closing that program. I do regret it now. Now I really believe in the principle of pause, don't stop. Pause, recoup, and then start up again, because I lost time and I lost traction. And it really was a good program. But at the time I was just burnt out and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I shut it down. So I think those flags are different for everyone, but it is important to take notice of those signs, those psychological signs, so that you can change things before it does start impacting you physically, which I've seen a lot in my peer group as well. You can see someone saying, "Shoof, this is hitting a little close to home. I feel like I'm being dragged for filth. Shame, your name isn't coming through, but I'm really feeling for you from that comment. So thank you for sharing. We've definitely been there. So yeah, I think that's the second challenge that I've experienced with high functioning anxiety. The third is then very real later in life issues, right? Right now, we might be thinking like, whoo, so much energy, so many ideas, so many things to start. But what we're not taking into account, or maybe some of you are, but we need to be conscious of is the impact stress can have on you in 10 years, in 15 or 20 years. There's a lot of research done on the fact that stress, like, it causes a lot of really severe later in life challenges. Like, the risk of heart disease goes up like threefold if you've experienced sustained stress. And that is the challenge of high functioning anxiety, because it's the type where you can keep living through it. So it can be sustained stress. You can live with it for 5-10 years and then suddenly have a problem, which is why I'm really passionate about talking about it. Please do share any of your other risks. I'm just going to pop this up. It's going to be a very weird angle over your comment, Jos, but I think it's so valuable to share this. Thank you for taking risks and inspiring. Keep up the great work. And thanks for your courage, Ari. Later in life issues. Agreed. Well, thanks, Jos. I think it's so important to speak about these things because, you know, some women do know that they're already experiencing this, but some don't. For a long time, I kind of just thought I was superhuman. I was like, this is amazing. I was born for this. And then I actually realized that I was in this repeated pattern. Something else that I experience myself is energetic like bursts. And I'm not sure if a lot of you have done your human design, but if you haven't, it's worth doing. It's a free online test. You put in your date and time of birth, and it tells you your human design, which is basically your natural energy type. So my co-founder, Serena, is a generator, meaning she's very good at delivering consistently, X hours a day, X volume and speed of work. I'm what's known as a manifester, like a Pokemon ball. I will take time to recoup and then I will explode. And the force of energy and work and creation is massive, but then I have to recoup. And so sometimes I have those days and I'll message Serena and be like, I'm doing nothing today. And I used to feel guilty about that. But now I've realized that I need that. Yesterday was one for me. I was like, I can't do anything. Sorry, I'm going to just take the day. And she knows that about me now, and I've learned that about me now. But I used to feel guilty about that. Even when it was just me working on my own business, I used to feel like, why can't I keep going today when someone else can? I watch Serena still going, and I'm like, I should be working too. And you push through even when you are so depleted that you can't. That is the real burnout point. So I would encourage you, do your human design just so you can learn your energetic type. Secondly, if you're like me and you're a manifester, remove the guilt of taking the day off, because the work I did 2 days ago was more than 2 days of work. So it's fine to have a recoup day. In fact, it's necessary because today I'm ready to go again. Samia, it's called Human Design. We will actually have a free resource on this in our new platform. So if you're not on the wait list, just click through and jump on. But you can also just Google Human Design quiz, free online, something like that. And you'll be able to put in your details and it will give you a high level version of your type. So there are 4 types and then subtypes. And it will tell you at a high level, again, how to thrive within your type. So some of what I've just been sharing about mine. Fiona, too often many high achieving women wear the mask of capability at a cost to their own mental health. Absolutely. So I maybe want to just share a couple of, I'm going to call them coping techniques or things that I've implemented into my life that have, allowed me to live really successfully with high functioning anxiety and with an understanding of my own energy type and levels. And please do share for yourselves as well, because I'm sure for everyone it's different. One of the most important things for me is taking breaks. And taking breaks, and again, this is a typical manifester, you need to take a break before you feel like you need a break. Once you feel like you need a break, you are so depleted that you need that whole day or maybe even 2-3 days to recoup. If you can take a break before you feel like you need it, then you're able to sustain longer. So, interestingly, in the past, I have implemented this, but I've blocked in time for exercise, for meditation, for reading. But I quickly realized, as a lot of high achievers do, that I was trying to high achieve in my breaks. I was like, okay, cool. If this is an exercise break, how far can I run? If this is a reading break, how much can I read? How many social posts can I turn that reading break into? How good can I be at meditation? So, what I have had to practice is to take breaks that are not focused on achieving anything. So, it could be, and this is what I do now, just taking a slow walk without reading anything and just letting myself pause and my brain recoup. It could be literally just sitting down with a glass of wine, not like 5, 10 glasses of wine, because again, that's a typical coping mechanism related to high achievers. I definitely like my wine, but it has its days and moments. But just really mindfully experiencing things. I am not good at meditation. As I said, I actually took it as an opportunity to be a high achiever. So what I do instead is just listen to music. And I'll sit and listen to like 5, 6 songs in a row with a glass of wine or with a kombucha. And that will be my break, because I find it very hard to high achieve anything when I'm just chilling and listening to different tunes. Let me take a pause for a second and have a look. Leonora, even when I'm gone for an hour, it's havoc, and I usually feel so guilty. Yeah, I've definitely been in that position, but the thing about taking the break is you need to mentally take the break, right? So even if you're walking with your phone on you, dinging, and you're stressing about what it is you're missing, you're actually not having that recoup, right, that you desperately need. So that's why for me, music rather than meditation is better, because it takes my mind elsewhere. Swimming rather than walking for me, because swimming, have to focus on the strokes. Whereas walking, I'm like, ooh, wonder what's happening on Slack, and I'm silently checking in. Let me have a look at these others. I just did my human design, and wow, it is spot on. We'll definitely read up more. Guys, I'm obsessed with human design. It is one of the most powerful personality-based tools that I've ever used, and I've done them all. Of course, being a high achiever, I'm not just going to do one, I'm going to do them all. But really, really love the insights from human design. Overachieving during my breaks is also a thing. Absolutely. Julie, thanks for sharing your experiences. I was in the same situation, burnt out, confused. I lost myself, lost my confidence. All my energy was low. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing this so vulnerably, Julia. It is, the effects of burnout are very severe. And thank you for mentioning the loss of confidence as well, because particularly, again, for high achievers, for A-type personalities, our identity is linked to our outcome so often. Whether that's right or wrong, it is a reality. And for me, my identity is linked to thriving in business, getting recognition for that. I'm not ashamed to say I like it. It keeps me going. It makes me want to do more. And so when you have to take a sustained break from burnout, not these short breaks we're talking about, but the sustained ones, you don't only question your business, you start to question yourself. And I don't want that for any of you, because this is just how we're built as humans. So thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Guys, please do let me know if you have any questions. I've been loving seeing all of the sharing, but I am happy to touch on anything else that you would like. Otherwise, I will be shortly awarding our CEO Diaries winner, and that is to someone who has been sharing through the session. Monica, I have so many ideas and struggle to put them into place because I feel overwhelmed and then stop and feel like you're not achieving anything. try to pick it up again or change the plan, but lose confidence. Okay, awesome. Monica, I'm going to tell you what I do in this situation. I also have a million ideas a minute. So many. My co-founder is like, we're not launching anything else this year. What I like to do is kind of take an analytical approach to ideas, because, and if you are kind of a little bit like me, when you have that idea, you are so excited by it emotionally that the decision making, the logical decision making almost falls away. So firstly, I like to not take action for a week because the idea is still going to be there. In a week, if you still feel equally excited about it, then you take the analytical approach. Is it going to drive your key business outcomes? And if you don't have a business yet, then we look at things like, can it sustain you financially? Because let's be real, sure, you can do a lot of things for play and fun, and I have those outlets too. But if it's a business idea, make sure that there is a business model behind it, right? Businesses require business models. Business models need to drive revenue and profit. Even a not-for-profit needs profit within that structure to sustain the business. So do your due diligence on that, speaking to someone if you're not sure. Secondly, is it a true intrinsic passion for you? Is it aligned with either the work your business is already doing or the work you already do? Most ideas require credibility to be able to sell them. Whether you're going for funding, whether you're selling directly into market, it's challenging to create a business that is so far removed from anything you've ever done. It's not impossible, and probably then I would recommend partnerships. But if it's very aligned, for example, stupid example, but like if I suddenly said I'm going to create a men's razor brand. I've never worked supporting men specifically. I've never had success in physical products. I don't need to shave my face. So, and all of those things. So just make sure it's aligned for you. Then capacity. Can you really fit this in? If you're honest, and then add tax to the hours it's going to take to prove it. Once I've done this, I have an idea list and a not to do list. My not to do list is my not to do right now. And it's where I park my backlog of ideas that I still like, but I'm not going to action today. And I allow myself to go back to this backlog every 1 or 3 months, whatever suits you. And the reality is I rarely take those ideas forwards because new and better ideas come up. So hope that helps a little bit with where you're at. I've definitely been there. Okay, Leonora, how do you deal with people you communicate with that you want some me time, but they still contact you no matter what? Cool. So I think, Leonora, it's two things, right? One is definitely communicating your boundaries. So as I said yesterday, I just needed the day. So I said to my co-founder and the person I had a meeting with, I'm taking the day, please move our meetings to tomorrow. Then, and that's the first part, really communicating it honestly and upfront. The second part is honoring your own boundaries. So I still got Slack messages through the course of yesterday. I still got emails and WhatsApps and Instagram DMs. I had to honor myself and not reply. In fact, not even read. Turned my phone on flight mode, my favorite mode, and literally just chilled. Took a nap, watched TV, listened to music. Communication is two-way, right? So unless it is, and maybe you have an emergency channel for one person that things can be filtered through to you, but otherwise you need to uphold your boundaries rather than counting on the other people to do so, I would say. I'm definitely not perfect at it though. It's a practice. Julia, hiking is the best cure. Reading, listening, you see you're not alone, taking time for ourselves, step by step, getting back on track. Absolutely, Julia. Also love a hike. Getting into nature, such a perspective setter. I love that. Eugenia, how can a high starter rebalance to a good finisher? What would be your day-to-day advice? Okay, perfect. So I think two things. One, and what I've realized is there's two schools of thought here, right? And it really comes with when you're in business, do you focus on accentuating your strengths or fixing your weaknesses? If you are a solopreneur and you have to rely on yourself to start and finish, then what has worked for me previously is a really detailed project plan and an accountability partner. So I map out everything I need to do from start to finish of a project, because otherwise I forget. I start and then I'm like, oh, it's going pretty well. But I forget that there are all of these, and we call them like the long tail tasks, the annoying, finicky little tasks needed all the way through to finishing. So planning definitely helps. If you're in the other school of thought where you want to focus more on your strengths, which is where I'm at, who can you work with that balances you out? So Serena, for me, my COO, she is operational, like that is her blood. And so when I start, she finishes and embeds, is what we call it. She embeds things in our organization, so we have capacity for me to start another thing for her to embed and have the right people doing the right things. And again, it comes with planning. Detailed structures, detailed project plans. We use a Reiki, which is like a mapping of responsibilities to people that we check in with weekly. Those systems that allow you to firstly take the stress off, because then you don't sit there every day going, is this happening? What about this thing? Is this working? Because it's all planned out. And your team kind of has freedom, but within a specific structure. So you know that things are getting done. So I think that would be my day-to-day advice, is having a detailed plan and working to it. For example, every Tuesday morning, I have my entire Future Females Inc. HQ team, and we go through our master project plan. This is every task that anyone in the organization needs to be focused on. And we have statuses, we have due dates, we have support needed columns, and we work through it, sometimes tediously, but at least then I'm not worrying. My brain is not like in everyone else's jobs, and everyone else is aligned on what they need to focus on for that week in terms of finishing. So I would definitely recommend something like that. Okay. Loads of great questions here. So let me pop up Leanne, who's sharing, you burnt out 4 years ago. It helped you transform your life and become a burnout coach after you rebuilt yourself. I love this sentence. Burnout really is a journey back to self. Absolutely. And the overachieving even in leisure time. I love that you say burnout really is a journey back to self. I was discussing with some friends yesterday that in failure is when you get to become the most self-aware. You learn the most about how you deal with your struggles rather than your successes. But what I'm hoping through this is that you learn about yourself through minor struggles rather than having to hit rock bottom, right? And putting in those coping mechanisms proactively rather than reactively before you and your business and the rest of your life has to suffer. Thanks so much, Leanne. Really interested in your work as a burnout coach as well. I think it's being spoken about more in some cultures, not in others, but there needs to be so much more focus on it. Leonora, we are going to speak about funding, absolutely, in the next couple of weeks, so please keep an eye out for that. Samia suggesting to Monica, thank you for this. This is what I love so much about these sessions, is you guys also sharing with each other. A great place to start is to speak to key people in your industry and get their viewpoints. Absolutely. Get insight from people who have done it all before. That's also something I really value on my mentors. Particularly, and like Monica was saying, loads of ideas, but what is really going to move the needle? And if you're an emotive person like me, it's really hard to tell because you're just so excited about the next idea. And you're like, this one's the one that's going to work. We can't not do this. So sitting with a mentor who can give you some hard truths, actually. I say to my mentors, I'm like, don't be nice to me. I have enough people being nice and supporting me, which is a real luxury, and I'm really grateful for it. But I want mentors who are going to be like, no, honestly, rethink this and know that is not a good decision. And you need to rethink this part as well. So building up, even one of those people in your support structure is really important. Well, thank you for this, Leonore. I heard the most horrible news pertaining to your business, and you're ready to conquer again. Firstly, I'm sorry that you heard horrible news. Um, it's never fun, and I can empathize a lot. This journey is insane, and one day it's horrible, and then the next day things are amazing again. So I'm hoping tomorrow is amazing again for you, but also glad that I could add some value. Okay, I think I'm going to get close to wrapping up here. I hope that what we've shared in terms of, really the definition of high functioning anxiety, I didn't know I had it for a long time. I didn't know there was a term for what I was experiencing. So I hope that it's been helpful for some of you to give it a term and know that you're not alone. And also know that even though you're successful and driving and getting shit done, doesn't mean that you don't necessarily have these struggles behind the scenes that perhaps you've just gotten really well trained at hiding. I'm also glad we got an opportunity to talk through some of the benefits, because there are benefits definitely, but also the risks and trade-offs that we just need to weigh up and make sure we are giving ourselves our energy back in a sustained and proactive way so that you can run your business for 5-10 years, right? It is always a marathon and not a sprint. So I'm going to award the winner of our CEO Diaries prize in just a second. Expressy, exactly what I needed to hear. I've been going through heavy anxiety lately, and I learned that I need to be able to cope my stress better, but I don't know how. So, I've shared from my experience, but also there are professionals out there if you need extra support, right? We had Leanne, she's on LinkedIn if you need to connect with her, who is a burnout coach. So if you feel like you're getting towards that point, please do connect with Leanne. And if you're really struggling, go and reach out to a professional. There is no shame in therapy. I love therapy. Firstly, in what other setting can you speak about yourself for an hour with absolutely zero judgment? Even if it's just getting things off your chest, I'm a huge proponent for going and speaking to a professional. So just to say that as well. Okay. So the time has come to award our winner. You have won free access to the Level Up Launch Library. This is one of my favorite trainings we've ever created at Future Females. It gives you everything you need to execute a successful launch and really just take away the guesswork of what it could look like. One of my favorite inclusions is actually our Future Females Launch Trello board. Trello is a free project planning system. And what we have in there is the exact step-by-step of every action you need to take through a launch, from planning to designing of your collateral, from pre-launch build-up to actual launch to post-launch review. So if you haven't launched before, or you have and it just felt like a lot, this is hopefully going to help you because the plan is done. There's also Instagram training, LinkedIn training, sales and partnerships training, all in this one course for you. So we normally sell it at roughly $200, but today you're going to get it free. And the winner is, give me a second to pop it up. Our winner today is Julia Julie. So she is tuned in over on YouTube. Julia, thank you so much. I think you were the first person to share your experience of burnout. And so I just want to honor that by giving you this prize, because it's not easy to be vulnerable, but also once someone has been vulnerable, you make it okay for everyone else to be. And I feel like that's really underpinned the rest of this session. So thank you and congratulations. And please just DM Future Females. You can do it on Instagram or on Facebook or on LinkedIn, your email address, and we will get you set up with that training and we'll send you back access later today or tomorrow. Yay! Okay, well, thank you to everyone for tuning in and for contributing. I've really enjoyed this session. We will be back with CEO Diaries next week, and I will be talking about how to build up a team. How can you build up a team even if you don't have any financial resources? Future Females started as a volunteer-only organization. Then we hired an intern. Then we relied a lot on outsourced freelancers. And now we have a really strong team of full-time fully paid resources. So I'll take you a little bit through that journey. So no matter where you are, we can discuss how to get the help that you need and how to start building and delegating. So I look forward to that. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your week and look forward to connecting then. Bye, everyone.